Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Minute Talk for Property Turkey. Today, we're going to cover a recent regulation that's been put in place by the Turkish government regarding the buildings in Istanbul. We're going to talk about the building identification system. Now, this is a very delicate system. It has, a lot of details, but I'm just going to give you a general overview. According to the Environment and Urbanization Minister, Murat Kurum, building identification system is in full effect as of this month, which is April 2021. Each building will be given an electronic tag with a QR code, which will be mounted on the building. This way, a lot of information can be learned about the building, from the material the building was built to the ground information and the 3D structure of the building. The system is created with urban regeneration in mind, Murat Kurum says, within the scope of the Smart City project. Hence, the world's first smart city is being built from scratch. As part of this project, last October, the authorities began the construction of a total 3,600 residential and 78 commercial units. The authorities in Turkey have uninterruptedly paved the way for urban transformation in Fikirtepe, Kağıthane, Zeytinburnu, Eyüp Sultan, and Ataşehir neighborhoods. So, what does it all mean for us? Basically, in order to understand this current move by the government, we need to understand the past of Istanbul. Between 1960 and 1990, Istanbul grew so rapidly and so haphazardly that a good portion of the city today is made up of shanty homes. We're talking about unorganized urban areas. Now, this problem exists not only in Istanbul, but also in, some other cities that were subject to rapid migration. And we have these examples in places like Izmir, Ankara, Bursa, mainly major cities in Turkey. And we can see the examples in other countries as well, such as Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Malaysia, Thailand, and etc. Obviously, we're not talking about India or Africa type of slums here. These are still urban areas that were built haphazardly. Now, part of the problem was with the regulatory bodies of those days, and part was socio-cultural. Anyway, what has happened, and today it's time to fix that. Well, the urban regeneration efforts have been in place for the past 20 to 30 years, but nevertheless, organizing an entire metropolis like Istanbul will definitely take time. Now, another important thing is preparing the city for natural disasters such as earthquakes, floods, and etc. The experts are pointing out towards an upcoming earthquake that will hit Istanbul to be between 7 and 7.5 Richter scale. Now, at the moment, we don't know exactly when this is going to happen, but we know that it will happen and it will damage the city. According to JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency, 350,000 buildings are at risk in Istanbul. This number includes the buildings with the chance of total and partial destruction. Now, here's another important point to mention. The results of the earthquake in Istanbul could be catastrophic, and a big reason for that is simply because of the buildings themselves. The buildings are not prepared for an earthquake at this magnitude. Yes, the newly built buildings are being built after a very long and detailed process that validates their earthquake resistance. Measuring the earthquake resistance of the old building is a big issue. And this is exactly the point that the Smart City project and the building identification system attempts to address. They basically want to create a virtual map of the city, and with this, they're basically aiming two things. Thing number one is to demolish or repair the buildings that are not earthquake resistant. And thing number two is to be able to identify the building's components in case of a natural disaster so that they can save more people. Now, this is very interesting, folks. The Smart City project is a great system that will provide information to everyone. People can literally see what they're buying. And for our foreign investors, the idea here is very simple. Be very, very careful when you're buying old buildings. I'm not saying don't buy it at all, but let's wait until the system is 100% working so that you can obtain all the information about it. As a general rule of thumb, go for newly built properties because there you don't need to ask about what sort of concrete was used or the thickness of the iron that went into the construction and etc. Because these newly built buildings are being heavily regulated and These are the ones that can withstand an earthquake of a magnitude of 8 to 9 on Richter scale. Now, which is not really likely to happen in this part of the world, but don't take my word for it. I'm not a geologist. I'm someone who reads about the subject. I think you should do the same. Go out and educate yourself. That's all from my part. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one.